Hi guys, welcome back to another episode of Soulful Living with Megs. As always, it is such a treat to have you here back for a moment of connection with me. The time that you take to tune into these episodes every week, it means so much to me. I will always remind you of that. And I just love the little community that we're creating together. Your kind words they truly help me. And I just cannot thank you enough for your support. And I appreciate you so much. And I hope that you are having such a fabulous day so far. If you're listening on Monday, I hope that your past weekend was amazing. As you're listening to this, I moved into my new apartment and I'm pre-recording this because I don't want to be crazy rushing around my actual move-in day. I'm going to be unpacking like crazy, but I hope it goes smoothly. I'm super anal, you guys, about everything pretty much, and I'm a control freak, so you already know the U-Haul's booked. I packed way in advance. My friends are coming in and we're like unpacking as we go each room. It'll be super productive, I hope, but an exhausting weekend. But anyway, I figured this was a great episode to bring up today because I don't know what your guys' algorithm right now is like online, but I feel like the dating scene currently is kind of lacking. I don't know if that's being too harsh, but like there's something going on in our generation right now, or there's something, I think just dating in general for everybody at any age is super challenging right now. I really don't know what's going on. My Instagram reels are filled with so many funny videos about it, but I don't know what's going on. And I feel like another episode in our series, Partner to Single, was just a perfect opportunity to talk about these things because I feel like we always talk about red flags, but kind of talk about them too late of like, oh, this was a red flag and like I should have known, or like very obvious red flags that come up scream at you that they're red flags. But sometimes when relationships end, at least in my past relationships, I've looked back and reflected and been like, oh, this like very subtle thing was an orange flag, was a red flag, but these small things kind of always add up. And I thought it was important to talk about red flags that I wish I knew were red flags sooner, because the sooner that I clock these, the sooner I can get out of something that no longer serves me. And so I'm hoping that today's episode can help you. Of course, every point that we go into, if it doesn't resonate with you, just leave it out. Throw it away. But the point of this is to talk about maybe more of those subtle signs that kind of come up that maybe make you question, am I okay with this? But some things that I wish I recognized sooner. And of course, these don't necessarily scream run, but they will whisper in that intuition of yours, like pay attention, because I feel like we often overlook these and we excuse these because, and we even rationalize these because, we want to love someone because we see so much hope for this relationship, or we see so much potential in somebody. And so here are 20 red flags that we're going to go over today that I wish I had recognized sooner. And perhaps after today's episode, you'll start noticing them sooner too if you are currently in a relationship, in a new relationship, if you are dating, if you are single, but also kind of want to have these in the back of your mind of, oh, let me think about this for when you do start dating if you should want to. So let's dive in. Number 1. Okay. This one's not really like subtle, but I'm gonna talk about it. But its actions speak louder than words, which I've definitely brought up before, and I know you've heard this one a million times. It's like the number one thing: your actions will always speak louder than your words. But the thing about this is that when you really like someone, it's super, super easy to cling on to what they say, to cling on to their words, their promises, the sweet talk that you get at the beginning, the potential, which is like a huge one, because I feel like so many relationships and connections that I've had in my life up until now, I've really clinged on to what they've said. And in the beginning, their words and actions basically line up, but they always kind of talk the talk and not necessarily walked the walk, if you could say it like that. And so it's easy to cling on to like this image that you see of them, or if they showed you someone at the beginning of who they are and then they kind of change their tune and get into actually who they maybe are and they were just perhaps trying to impress you, whatever it is, I feel like we still cling on to that old version because we were like, wait, we saw it before, you know what I mean? And especially early on, they do say, or at least it feels like they're saying all of the right things to you. But over time, if somebody's actions do not align with their words, they're constantly bailing, they're not prioritizing you, or they promise to do something like, yes, I'm going to buy you flowers, I'm going to get you this, I'm going to get you this, and then they never do, or they're constantly making excuses up for why they're not doing something that they said they were going to do. That's your sign, because consistency is key. And if it's not there, you honestly shouldn't be either. All I'm going to say about that. Number 2, not respecting boundaries, which seems also again like a big one, but this can actually be really, really subtle. So maybe you're play fighting with each other. Maybe you're having a pillow fight and it gets a little bit too rough and you ask them to stop and they don't. Or maybe they're tickling you, they're touching you, they're teasing you, and you've set a boundary where you've clearly said, no, I don't want to do this anymore, and then they keep pushing it just for fun. I want you to pay attention to that. Because if somebody can't respect your small boundaries of saying no to something that you don't want to engage anymore in something physical like that, what's to happen when a larger boundary comes up? Pay attention to that, you guys. Number 3, if you're clashing in attachment styles. And this one, give or take, if you're an anxious attachment style and they're an avoidant one or vice versa, I feel like there's bound to be tension. And I would say I'm definitely more of an anxious attachment style than avoidant. I definitely have some avoidant tendencies. I think that's like fearful avoidant in a way, but I'm definitely more anxious. I would love to be more secure, but I also think it depends on the person that I'm with, whether or not they kind of bring that out of me at times. But this one isn't to say, and this is what I mean, like give or take, it's not to say that different attachment styles can't work. But if there's no awareness or willingness to understand how you each give and receive love, like what your love language is, how you kind of need a partner to show up for you to feel secure, it becomes emotional chaos. And I want you to know yours. I want you to know what your attachment style is because I think it's really important. And it's important to ask about theirs. And it's important to talk about it early on so that you can establish, okay, you're super avoidant. I don't want that in my life because I've been with avoidant people before and I'm more anxious. And so I know that if somebody is avoidant and avoiding the difficult conversations for whatever reason, like that just won't work for me. So I need to walk away. And it's absolutely easier to walk away earlier on than later on, as we know. Number 4. I don't know why I said it like this. Number 4 is if you're feeling butterflies all of the time. And I feel like this may not shock us anymore. Definitely back in the day, had you told me butterflies may be a subtle red flag, I would have been surprised. But the intense butterflies that you're feeling in your tummy, sometimes it's actually anxiety and not chemistry. Or maybe it's chemistry, just not the right kind of chemistry. Do you know what I mean? Like if you're constantly feeling nervous, like you're on edge before seeing them, or you feel anxious when they text you, it's like you get those butterflies in you when you get a text, or like literally just before seeing them, you kind of get bajiggity, as Tinks would say. She uses that phrase, bajiggity. I feel like that's just such a good way to describe what your insides feel like. I want you to check in with yourself because that feeling might be a gut feeling that's not excitement, rather a warning. So I don't know that butterflies are the sign of like compatibility because I do feel like our nervous system kind of goes on the radar and is like, oh my gosh, what's happening when we are feeling anxious? And I know that that is such a hard thing to decipher, but I do feel like with the right person, you should definitely feel a sense of calm and peace. And I don't want to say that love is boring, but I feel like so many people say that healthy relationships aren't that exciting to be like, oh, I never really felt the spark. And I'm of the belief that I need to feel attraction for my partner. I feel like we all want to actually feel attracted to them. So we kind of look for that spark, those butterflies, but they aren't necessarily a sign that this person is your person. I feel like things can develop over time, feelings can grow, and ultimately you should feel peace with them, not an unsettled nervous system. Number 5, they put you down, even as a joke. I feel like I'm a funny person. Don't get me wrong. I feel like I'm hilarious if you ask the right people. But jokes, I feel when you're joking with friends and stuff, I feel like they should be funny for both people. And so if your partner or whoever you're dating is teasing you in ways that make you feel small, that make you kind of shrink in your shell, that make you feel insecure, self conscious, especially early on, you guys, that is not humor. And that's really not kind. And I do think it's a little red flag kind of wrapped in a sarcastic tone. And I really don't like when you feel hurt by a joke and people laugh it off, being like, oh my gosh, it's just a joke. Well, is it? I don't know that it's just a joke. I think you need to trust how what they're saying actually makes you feel and how you feel about them versus like, oh, does he like me if he said this? Does she said this joke and like, was she really meaning it? No, no, no. I want you to look inward and say, how did that make me feel? Did that make me feel great? Was it funny for me? If it was funny for you, amazing. But if it makes you feel smaller than, less than, absolutely not. I really just feel like people should not be putting each other down, even if you're kidding. I just feel like there's no world in which that is like a joke. Unless you're, I don't even know. I can't think of an example right now. I feel like I wouldn't want my partner to jokingly say something to me that I just didn't find funny. And I'm sure I've said things in past relationships that I've maybe thought as a joke. Maybe I was being sarcastic, but I'm sure they've taken it in a rude way. And so like I don't want to live in that way. You know what I mean? I want people to see the humor and laugh with me. I don't want them to feel like I've put them down. So if you feel put down, please listen to that. It is not a joke. I feel like there's low-key truth to that, but pay attention to that. Anyway, number 6, they rush into the relationship. This is controversial, I feel, because I feel like sometimes relationships fall into your lap after a previous one earlier on, whatever that means for you, without you expecting it. And I feel like it really depends on the person. It depends on the relationship. Some relationships that end and then you start a new one right away absolutely work out. That's not what I'm saying. But kind of moving really fast and at this lightning speed, it'll feel romantic at first, but sometimes low key, I feel like it could be a sign of insecurity or this fear of being alone. And so, if you are starting to see somebody and you find out that they just got out of a relationship and now they're just suddenly all in with you, like all at once, and just diving in, and trust me, I've been there with people that have recently got out of something, yeah, and then they're like fully invested in me right away, and I feel like you have to create pause with that. You have to ask yourself, is this a real connection or is it a rebound? Because again, I know people in my life that have gotten into relationships fairly quickly. I mean, really, I feel like there's no timeline. Whatever's quick to you may not be quick to me, but say, generally speaking, someone gets out of a relationship, couple months later, a month or two later, they're in another connection with somebody. It's worked out, and it's worked out beautifully. And like I'm telling you, I know people in my life like that, and I'm sure you know people in your life like that too, but there is this fine line, and that's why I think it's so subtle. Of you just have to listen to and pay attention to what's happening. Is this a real connection, or is it possibly a sign that they are insecure or can't be alone, or they have this fear of being alone. Especially if you, on one hand, have worked so long on yourself and have been out of a relationship for so much time, like many months, even many years, and then you're jumping into something with somebody who they're fresh out of one. Have they allowed themselves to feel all that they need to feel from their past relationship? I don't know. And I really can't tell you that. I just want you to pay attention to that and see, like, am I okay with this? Does it resonate with me? Things like that, you know? Number 7, they're rude to others. I feel like this isn't really subtle. But like, again, I feel like when we like people, we can kind of brush it off. But pay attention to how they treat people in the world, like servers, baristas, Uber drivers, even when they think no one is watching. Because I feel like sometimes people put on a front to be super kind when other people are around. But if you notice it when they think other people aren't watching, pay attention. The way that someone treats people that they don't need anything from, in a way, I think says everything about their character and who they are. So you should be with someone who is very kind because you deserve a kind person. Number 8, you're already having frequent conflicts even in the beginning. And I definitely feel like tension is normal. I feel like that's going to pop up in, really any relationship situation that you're in with the people in your life. But if you're seeing somebody, it's fairly early on, whatever, couple months, couple weeks, if you're constantly bickering or you actually are having some serious disagreements right off the bat, it's not really passion. And I think it's just showing that it's incompatibility. And I think we need to listen to that. And yes, you may be excited about this person, but like, you do not want to be spending years down the line battling with somebody who you're just not compatible with, and that you guys will just never align in your conflicts, in your differences. And it'll just create that tension and friction. And so listen to that. Number 9, they don't really listen. I feel like when somebody likes you, they are invested in all of you. And so they will actually listen to you, and they will actually remember things about you. And I feel like you shouldn't have to repeat yourself over and over again to somebody that you're dating. If you're sharing how you feel or what you need, and you feel like it's going in one ear, out the other, because you have to constantly repeat it, or they're just not caring enough low key to like actually ask you questions about it, or saying I need this and they're not actually providing it to you, I don't believe it's a communication issue. I think it's about respect, and they just may not respect you. And you deserve somebody who gives you the utmost respect. All right, number 10, we are halfway there, team. They rely on you as their sole emotional support. Okay, I have many friends and loved ones in my life that I absolutely lean on for support. And we all need people to lean on. That is what we're here for. We're here for supporting one another, uplifting one another. But, if you're in a relationship with someone and you feel like you're their therapist, their sole person that you actually that they lean on you for all of their emotional needs, and they have like no other outlet, no other friends to talk to about their problems, no therapist if they're not seeing somebody professionally, like no other support system other than you, that is something heavy on you to bear. It gets really, really heavy for you, and it's not your job to fix somebody. And so you deserve to have somebody in your life to share a romantic connection with, who comes with some sort of, level of self-awareness and self-responsibility to know that, okay, I can't expect my partner to give me every single emotional need that I have for every single time in my life. Like, they should seek professional help if they need it. They should lean on their other friends and family, because it kind of like lessens that load, that weight, because you're also dealing with stuff too. Everybody deals with things, but if you have to carry the weight of your own stuff with somebody else's, it's a lot. I think everybody needs therapy. Low key, I feel like it's high key actually. Everybody needs to floss their brain. Everybody needs to talk about something. Even therapists require therapy. Like, it just makes sense. We need to talk about our problems, but it's also important not to bear it all on your partner, because we're already juggling a lot. And I feel like because we're in the world that we are in now, we kind of expect our partner to be our best friend, our, support system for so many needs, financially, whatever it is, emotional. Where I feel like back in the day, I feel as though you always see, I don't know if you see, but I feel like I've seen online before, we rely on other people because it takes a village back in the day, like 4 different outlets, 4 different purposes. And I feel like now we want it all in one partner, which is great. And I feel like at times we can each provide exactly what we need for our partner. But you're dating a guy, like he also needs, it would be great to have guy friends to be able to do guy stuff with and talk about guy stuff with. Just like when I am with my girlfriends, I'm not going to expect my guy friends to understand everything that I'm saying to my girlfriends, or my partner. I'm not going to expect him to like be able to handle all the things that I need to share, especially if I like know my girls will understand it. You know what I mean? I feel like you get it. But you shouldn't be someone's sole emotional support for everything in their life. Number 11, your friends and family don't like them. I'm sure you love them, but what about your closest people? If they're hesitant, or maybe they don't like being around your partner, if they don't enjoy it, I want you to ask yourself why that could be. Instead of dismissing it or being like, oh, they're so not understanding of the situation, or they're not giving so and so a chance, I want you to ask yourself, why do the important people in my life, my friends and family, don't like my partner? The people who love you the most often see things that you don't see, or I feel like we do see, we just try to ignore. So I really want you to pay attention to that, because many of my friends in my life from previous connections, previous relationships that I've had, have seen red flags when I didn't want to acknowledge them. I'd be like, no, 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 it's fine. I'm going to give them a chance, la, la, la. They notice it. They pick up on it because they're not in the relationship. They are not inside of that photo. They can actually see it from a distance. So pay attention to who in your life wants to spend time with your partner. Really says a lot there. Number 12, they react poorly when you spend time away from them. I, yeah, I have thoughts about this. Independence is super, super healthy, even in a relationship. And I do like sometimes when my partner is always wanting to spend time with me. I feel like it's great that they just want to always see me, make time for me, love it. But if they're getting clingy, if they're getting pouty, okay? If your partner's pouty, or they're getting passive aggressive, or like even straight up angry when you want to do your own thing, or you spend time with your other friends without them, red flag. And I feel like it's control in kind of disguised as like, I just miss you, I just want to spend time with you. Like, no, a healthy relationship does have distance. Absence does make the heart grow fonder, and you need to establish other relationships with the people in your life, not just your partner. So I really want you to pay attention. If they are not happy that you spend time with other people and not them, also maybe a sign of jealousy, might be a sign of insecurity, but I want you to pay attention to it. And I want you to pay attention to how you feel when your partner responds when you want to go out. If you feel guilty, or if you feel bad, you're like, oh, I don't even know why you're upset about this. Might not be the one for you. But what do I know? Number 13, almost there, you guys. You start questioning yourself a lot. And I feel like this can definitely happen over time in relationships without really knowing it. But if you're constantly asking yourself things like, am I overreacting in this case? Did I make them upset? Was that my fault? I want you to stop, because a healthy relationship should not make you second guess your own reality every other day. You should not be questioning yourself so often in a healthy relationship. You should know yourself. You should know and trust in the relationship that you've built. You should trust in the fact that you guys are going to communicate through things. You should not be like, oh my gosh, is this on me now? Should I have done this? Should I have done that? No, no, no. No, no, no. You should not be questioning yourself so much in a relationship that's meant for you. Alrighty, number 14. Your relationship feels like an old one in a bad way. I feel like this has come up for me personally, but If you feel like a new relationship that you're in starts bringing up the same anxious, tense, unsettling feelings that you've had in a past one, even when the person is different, I don't want you to ignore it because your body absolutely keeps score. Trust the way your body feels and what it's telling you. If you're feeling that anxiety, and if you're like, holy crap, this reminds me of this person, and you know that was a toxic relationship, maybe not. Maybe this one's not the one for you. And I feel like this is different from triggers that are coming up because I do feel like I've known people, I've seen it online, heard about it, that when you're in a healthy relationship, there are triggers that come up just because past wounds, past baggage, past trauma, it's so real. Like it will come up. And I feel like that first healthy relationship after ones that haven't been, you just don't know how to respond in some ways because you're like, whoa, I'm not used to this. And so I do feel like it is different if you do have anxious, unsettled feelings of feeling triggered by a situation, but then you can effectively communicate this with your partner of this happened. I'm triggered by it because of something that's happened in the past. I want to work through it. If they respond in a healthy way, if you guys can fight well, essentially, is what I'm trying to get at here, I feel like that's fine. But if you start to feel the same way that you felt in past relationships, where it's this bad feeling that you just know in your heart and your gut, I don't feel good, please don't ignore it. Please don't go through the same thing that you've been through in the past. We don't want to relive that. And I know that our bodies seek comfort, we seek familiarity, but we have to break that cycle. We don't want to feel anxious every other day. We don't want to feel unsettled. We want to feel free and at peace, at ease, if you will. Number 15, they don't introduce you to their friends or family. Even if there's cultural differences or religious differences, I feel like a complete lack of integration into their world is a big red flag. You should feel like a part of their life and you shouldn't feel like a secret to it. And I've lived this life for many years and I was with somebody. I've mentioned him in my very first episode of this series where, we did have religious differences and we both accepted that, but also not really because I never got introduced to anyone in his family. And I do feel like I was always of the belief, well, if your family loves and supports you, they should be happy for you regardless if I'm a part of your religion or not. But I was not integrated into his world in that sense. And that was a huge thing for me. Like, I know I want to be a part of my significant other's family. I just, that is a goal of mine. And so if I'm not repeating that cycle, but I'm saying for you, if you are not being introduced to friends and family and you're like fully living together or you've been dating for months and months and they're like, yeah, I so want you to meet this person, but then they just don't, you do not deserve that. You are supposed to be a part of their life, not hidden from it. Not a part of their life only when they get home, only on weekends, whatever it is. They should want to show you off to everybody and anybody on the street, especially to their most important people in their life. I just feel like that's a non-negotiable. Number 16, you don't like their friends. I feel like I've kind of mentioned this before in previous series, it might feel small because I feel like, you don't have to like everybody in this world and you're not going to, but especially with your partner, this is not a small thing. This is a big red flag. If their friends are constantly acting in ways that just don't align with the values that your partner claims to have, that you've discussed together of, oh my gosh, we're so aligned in this, but then you meet their friends and there's this difference of, whoa, they are definitely opposite to what my partner says or to opposite to values that align with me, I feel like that contradiction is worth noting. You know what I mean? Like, who we surround ourselves with absolutely matters. And I can't remember what that saying is like we're 1/5 of who we spend our time with. I feel like that's super wrong. But I feel like you'll understand what I'm trying to say is that who you spend your time with absolutely makes up who you are in some way. What your values are, what your beliefs are, what your morals are, how you choose to move in this world. If you're hanging out with people that to your partner just have something completely different, how much of that is actually just their friends and not you? Like, I feel like you make up who you surround yourself with. You know what I'm trying to say here. Number 17, there are double standards about opposite sex friendships, such as if they can have lots of close friends of the opposite sex, but kind of get weird and controlling when you do, red flag. I don't want you to look at it in a way of, oh, he's just jealous and like love it. No, no, no. Boundaries in that sense should be mutual. I know boundaries are about you and how you're protecting your peace, but like boundaries like that should be mutual. What's okay for them should also be okay for you. I just feel like that makes sense. If you have friends of the opposite sex, you've created clear boundaries with your friends of the opposite sex and they get pissy about it. I don't know. I feel like there should be that mutual trust. There should be the understanding, especially if they have friends of the opposite sex. I get it's a fine line, but if you're setting clear boundaries, it's mutual between friends and they have friends of the opposite sex, I feel like it's fine, okay? They should not give you a hard time about it if they have friends of the opposite sex. No double standards, okay? None of that here. We don't like double standards. Number 18, they joke, but it always cuts a little bit deep. This kind of goes hand in hand with the one earlier about putting you down, even if they're joking. But if they're always joking with you and it kind of hurts your soul, listen to it. Because I feel like some people hide what they truly feel behind humor and sarcasm. And if their jokes are kind of digging at your insecurities, especially if they're digging at things that you know that you are insecure about, that you don't feel great about yourself, pay attention to it because I really don't think it's love. It's more criticism than anything, but your partner should not be joking with you about things that are deeply personal and insecure to you, that matter a lot to you, that no, you would feel bad about hearing. Again, joking should be fun between you two. Banter should be fun between you two. You should be laughing together, not one person laughing and the other person feeling like garbage. And number 19, little bit of a subtle one here. They talk a lot about their ex or possibly never at all. And I feel like we've all been there. We've probably been guilty of it too in some ways. But if you're noticing your partner is talking a lot about their ex or you're dating someone, they're talking a lot about their ex, they might not be over it. Or they're not mentioning them at all. And then like don't even want to bring up a conversation about past relationships. That might be some emotional suppressing happening. They could be very uncomfortable about talking about their feelings. But I do feel like in a healthy relationship, again, I'm not an expert here. Also, with my track record of dating, definitely not an expert. However, I feel like I learn a lot along the way, as we all do. But I think a balanced acknowledgement of the past does show maturity. And I don't want us to like live in the past. I feel like it's not healthy to constantly bring up past things like that. Being able to sit across from somebody that you're dating and actually be like, okay, so how's your past relationships in your life been? Were they healthy? Were they not? Why weren't they? Blah, blah, blah. I feel like those are important parts of our information gathering that we need to collect to figure out, okay, can I be with this person? How do they talk about their ex also is another huge thing. How they speak about past people they've been with also shows a lot about who they are. So I just want you to pay attention to whether or not they're constantly talking about their ex. Maybe they're not over it. Or if they're just not at all, and the fact that they're so uncomfortable about talking about past things, what's underneath that? Are we suppressing it because we're uncomfortable, or what's the dealio here? You want somebody who's able to open up a healthy dialogue to talk about these things because they do make up kind of who you are now. Who you've been with absolutely shape in some way who you are now and how you've grown and what you've learned and all of that stuff. So pay attention to it. And the last one, which very important red flag we wish we knew sooner. You feel like you're always the one trying. A relationship needs to be balanced. You should not have to chase someone, beg someone to be in your life. If you feel like you're the one constantly initiating plans, you're fixing things, you're trying to make it work, I want you to take a step back, okay? I want you to focus that energy back into you because a relationship takes two. It takes two to tango, people, not one. You should not be the only one putting in effort. Also, if you're putting in more effort, maybe we need to evaluate too. Take a step back. Are they respecting me? Why aren't they putting as much effort as I am in this? Because again, we want to feel loved and cared for by our people in our life. And if you are not with somebody who gives you as much as you give them, I don't know. I feel like you shouldn't be with them. And I don't remember if I mentioned this, but I've had people in my life in the past tell me, like, oh, you're expecting a lot, or you have these high expectations. Maybe you should lower them. No, maybe I should surround myself with people who can actually give as much as I give. And I think that whole thing is about the capacity in which you can give. Your cup is as full as you can make it. And some people just have different size cups, and that's absolutely okay. You just have to find somebody who is willing to give as much as you give, because I do feel like reciprocation is a very, very important, and it should be at the same level. You should not be giving so much only to receive little drops. That's not going to quench your thirst. I just want you to be with somebody who aligns with you in that way. You should not be the one giving more. It is two people in this relationship, not one. Do not bear it all on your own. And I feel like some of these have felt small, while others definitely have felt not so small. I feel like now that I've read them all to you and we've talked about all 20, I feel like they're actually all so important, at least for me, but I hope some of them resonate with you. But I feel like all these little things, when you stack them together, they create this clear picture for you. And I know we all know this, but I'm here to remind you, a healthy relationship should not be confusing. It shouldn't be exhausted, and it absolutely shouldn't be one-sided. It needs to feel safe. It needs to feel consistent and like you can just show up as your full authentic self, because you deserve to live in your full authenticity, and you deserve to be with somebody who brings that out of you and who you want to feel that comfort with. And so if you're noticing any of these subtle signs, I really don't want you to ignore them. They're not just quirks. They're not just things that you can, I'm fine. I can live with this. I can live with this. What's the word I'm trying to think of? Not compensate. What's something in relationships that we have to do? Oh my God, why am I blanking? Sacrifice is close. We're getting closer. Consideration. Frick, I can't think of the word right now, you guys. But I think you know what I'm trying to say. Relationships, there are some things. Compromise. Compromise is the word. There we go. I do believe that there is compromise in relationships, but these aren't compromises. I feel these are not compromises that I personally don't want to take as a compromise anymore. These are data that we're collecting, and that intuition always is guiding you, and it's always been trying to guide you and tell you. So I want you to listen to it more. But guys, that is what I have for you for today's episode of 20 red flags I wish I knew were red flags sooner. Would have maybe saved me a little bit of heartbreak throughout the years. But you know what? It's all about growing. It's all about living life and making sure that we are with people that are aligned with us even more. But I thank you so much for spending this time with me today. If you feel like it resonated with you and you feel like somebody could resonate with it too, maybe you know somebody who's going through something, or, going through some hardships in their relationship, I would love for you to share it with them if they need it as well. And if you have red flags that you wish you caught sooner that we didn't mention, I would love to hear about them. I feel like there's definitely so many more that we can pull, but those are the ones that I kind of thought about, asked some friends about, things like that. But DM me on Instagram at Soulful Living with Megs, or at my personal Megan Vyshetsky with the extra I at the end. I would love to hear some red flags that you wish were red flags, or that are super, super subtle, because would love to know more for when I decide to go back into the dating realm and dabble in that. But I hope that your week is filled with endless opportunities of joy and love and light. I'm sending all of that beautiful energy to you, so I hope that you feel it. I want you to protect your peace. I want you to trust your gut. And I want you to remember, as we close out today, that love should never cost you your sense of self, because you deserve to be you. and you are just so spectacular as you, and I appreciate and love you so much. And I can't wait to talk to you next Monday, and I can't wait to start filming these because I want to show you the new space. Anyway, love you lots. Talk to you so soon. Okay, bye guys.